Ever think you're not smart enough to know everything? Some of these topics are really tough. We struggle with them currently, and if we struggle with them long enough, one day we'll be smart enough.
Hi, welcome to the Smart Enough podcast. I'm your host, Vandy.
And I'm Dani, and we have AJ on the ones and twos.
As always.
As always.
He cut his hair, so he's got a different look.
It's still just as beautiful, though.
Yeah.
Still just as beautiful.
You could tell them anything, and they'd believe you.
No.
You could say, I dyed my hair pink and blue.
Yeah.
We are pure truth tellers.
Yes.
We are pure truth tellers.
Swag is on 10.
Yeah. And we are a weekly podcast designed to engage and inspire deep and critical thinkers to participate in constructive conversation and to bring a little more compassion and hopefully a few laughs to public discourse. This is actually our last episode with Dani.
Yes.
We'll see what happens to this after this, but this is our last episode together.
in the flesh.
Dani told me 2 days ago that she is going to Chicago to start med school. So excited, so proud. There is no one more deserving of this.
gosh.
I'm just
Thank
so
you.
excited to see what you do
Thank you.
over there. Gonna cause a whole mess of trouble over there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's my first agenda.
Yeah. Is there anything you're nervous about?
Yeah, there are tons of things I'm nervous about. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Making it there safely is the first.
The first priority, yeah.
It's a 3-day trek.
Definitely. We've also got Danielle's roommate and friend Chris still here in the audience. So if you hear someone cracking up in the background, that's her.
That's her.
She's not going to be able to control herself because of how funny we are. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. Anyway, so today's subject is hope because it's our last episode together. I thought we could end on kind of a positive message and, just almost as like, this could be like a summary episode of everything we've talked about, kind of everything coming to a culmination here. Our critical thinking questions, which we might not necessarily answer,
But we're going to present
but
them.
we're going to present them anyway, just to get you guys thinking, to get us thinking. So what gives you hope? What is your current state of hope? Is hope as irrational as fear? Is it possible to be optimistic and realistic? And what role does hope play in the human psyche as well as the collective psyche? So
Where
let's
do you wanna
Let's
start?
start with what is your current state of hope? I think that's a good.
Oh, I've got a lot of hope right now.
You do?
I'm on top of the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I have worked my ass off to go to
Yes.
medical school.
Yes.
For at least, I don't know,
Yeah.
12 years maybe.
Yeah.
And so I now have the
Yeah,
opportunity.
this has been a lifelong dream for you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now I have the opportunity to actually begin that process. So I'm very excited about that.
Right.
And that's enough for me right now.
That's enough for you. Yeah.
As far as global affairs.
Yeah,
or
where are you?
governmental,
Yeah.
I have kind of just defaulted to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to quote the great rapper Chance.
Yes.
And he was just saying yesterday at the awards, it's just like, you know what? It's about us. It's about us reflecting on ourselves. And so I think that's the best thing that we can do, unless you're in, like I said before, some type of position where you can influence policies and influence people's lives on a greater scale, then do that.
Right.
But I don't have that
Right.
stance, that platform right now. I'm going to work towards it, but
yeah, and with this, we're kind of creating our own platform.
yeah,
I mean, we don't necessarily have the following,
yeah.
a huge following, but I think it
Someone
starts.
might be listening.
Yeah, it starts with who knows, if one person is listening, right, and they listen and they get inspired, then they could go on and make an even better podcast, or they could run for be a politician, or do whatever it is, and by putting out this kind of compassion and positivity, hopefully something greater comes out of it.
Yeah. And I think just being able to get people to understand at our age, like this affects you, and to not just be concerned about our circle, right?
Right.
But to be more involved in things outside of
Totally.
our immediate goals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, and I started thinking about this topic because I was reflecting on something that you said in like one of our first episodes with Ian Gary when you asked, well, do you see anything positive coming out of Trump's presidency?
Yeah.
And I really have seen so many people getting re-engaged, reactivated. So many of my friends are starting either podcasts or they're creating web series or just any kind of art to contribute to the public discourse and say something meaningful. I think for a while, I think a lot of us were asleep. We were, for a while, we were kind of just expecting Obama to get it done and to handle things, and that everything was kind of post-racial,
whatever.
feminism, post everything,
Yeah.
everything had kind of been solved, quote unquote solved. And so I think a lot of, in particular, white liberals were like, oh, you mean racism really is that bad? Like waking up to it and re-engaging with the fight, and that gives me hope to see that. And especially for this Pride Month, I've seen so many of my gay friends just really just putting everything out there, and just putting out as much love and as much positivity and as much of themselves as possible.
Yeah.
And that gives me hope. What do you think that hope does for the human psyche?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Big one.
I think our minds are so powerful. Like,
they create our entire world.
Yeah. And so your thoughts about your situation really affect how that manifests in real life. And so whatever your habits are is, it's what you experience, and
Right.
so your mindset completely governs how you experience the world. So hope is very important to that whole process.
Yeah.
Or having that, or, your state of mind. So.
Yeah. And it's really, I mean, it's been my hope has been like fluctuating so much,
Oh yeah, there's nothing consistent about it.
There's nothing consistent. I mean, there's some weeks and some episodes where I'm like, I can't believe all of these people hate me, and you're like, yeah, get used to it. And, particularly we talked a little bit just before this with Philando Castile and that verdict coming out, just the amount of hopelessness that came from that is, it leaves me at a point where I'm like, I don't know what I can humanly do to fix this,
Yeah.
Because, well, like you were saying with Chance the Rapper, it's like, it's time to reflect on ourselves, but then how do I fix this? I just had this reaction of like, how do I fix this? When that came out, how did we haven't processed this together? So this is it. This is our process.
Yeah, I feel like that question being presented to me almost brings a certain amount of hopelessness, right? Is because my passion is something that's a lot different from social justice off top, right? I want social justice,
Right.
but typically what I'm going for is something a lot more tangible, right? And so I think.
Well, and that's I don't want to throw you off your point, but that is something you and I have talked about before, where it's like, even with these mass shootings and stuff like that, it's like we talk about it, we're like, yeah, this needs to change. And then we go, I'm working 4 jobs, you're working a ton of jobs. We go to work the next day and we can't, there's nothing I can do. I'm trying to pay my rent. Like, I'm there's nothing else I can do to affect this broader change, or that's how it feels sometimes. I know that people are like, well, you can call your senator, and it's like, okay, yeah,
so true.
I'll give them a call. And I did.
Yeah.
I've given many calls.
Yeah.
But like at a certain point, it's like, okay, I did it.
But how has that affected?
Yeah. And how do I keep going? Anyways, I totally.
And so
sidetracked your point.
I can very well pursue issues in medicine and be an advocate for social justice in that arena.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like policing, you know, like I have my thoughts about why it's, you know, why the system is broken, you know, but I'm not going to stop pursuing this to go petition for how to fix the system, right? And so I think the best that we can
You're
do,
not? Like, if somebody asked you to march in something or
no,
like...
I think that's a very like temporary, like, oh yeah, I
Solution.
can take
You
this
can do
out one
that.
day, but I'm
Right,
not going
right.
to stop pursuing.
She just knocked her
medicine.
microphone for anyone who's... We're getting passionate up in here.
Yeah, I'm not going to dedicate my life to that. Although I think it's very important, you know.
Right. Well, and I'm kind of hoping that people are watching this and maybe not you, but maybe somebody else is like, I'm going to dedicate my life
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
this.
And I'm completely in support of that, you know.
Right. Yeah, I sometimes feel guilty because, you know, what I want to do is like perform and be silly, you know, and like, and that's not really doing it. I mean, I try as much as I can to have a political message or an undercurrent of meaning to the work I produce, but yeah, I also experience the same amount of guilt in terms of, you know, what I want to do. Is it contributing to society in a positive way and changing the things that I'm upset about in a positive way and an effective way?
I also think that there's just like everything takes time, you know, like it takes time to be able to have an impact on people's lives. Like Martin Luther King knew, you know, like when he has experienced inequality since he was a baby, right? But he didn't start, you know, having marches, you know, when he was 13. Like it took him a while for him to get to a place where he is making an impact on these people's lives. And so I just don't think that I'm in that place right now. Like I don't have a firm enough platform to actually impact the level of change that I want to. You know, in this arena.
Well, and to your point there, I think that, you know, really the first step is, you know, you mentioned, I have thoughts about how to make things better. There are people who have thought about this a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And who have the answers, who have not the answers, but have potential solutions. And we're just not listening to them. And I think that the first step really for you and I,
because they don't have the social capital to actually push what they're thinking, right? And I don't think that there are not solutions out there, but the people that have the ability to actually present their issues do not have the support to do that. So financially, yeah. I mean, if I have a little bit of money, like I got some student loans, I can give you some money for my student loans.
You are a damn fool.
But I'm just saying, like, fool. You know, you support people in there as much as you can with what you have.
Yeah. Well, and what I was saying is I think the first step for you and I, people like you and I, is to go out there, find those solutions that people have come up with, read more about it, and then when we're in conversations with other people who haven't reached the level of upsetness, that's not a word, anger, the level of, you know, okay, they haven't reached that point of wanting to seek out solutions yet, you can kind of put that into their consciousness, just like maybe just introduce it so that eventually they get to the point of wanting to investigate for themselves. Yeah,
I think being a lot more assertive in your awareness of what's going on outside of your niche is also very important. You know, and I think it's a sign of maturity.
Yeah.
If your ability to be able to say, oh, I know what's going on economically. Like, I know the decision our government is making. Like, but it takes, you know, a certain je ne sais quoi for you to be able to like balance all that stuff. You know, I think it depends
as an adult,
on where you
know,
are.
like we're saying, like, you know, 4 jobs, taxes, rent, like all that stuff, like, you know, to find the time in the day to fight racial inequality is like, you know, when you gonna do it? You know, how are you gonna budget in that time?
I have to get gas, like I have to eat.
I've got to eat. Like, how do I be an adult and take on all this other stuff?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. And I think we've also talked a lot on this podcast about what messages get out there. What is getting popularized? We've talked about how trolls make headlines, how controversy can create publicity. You know, there's a lot of what kind of messages are effective, what kind of messages are ineffective. I think kind of taking that introspective look before, you know, and this goes back to our very first episode where we're talking about, is it being smart enough? When do you feel smart enough to step up and say something? And should you step up and say something, or should you sit back and read and listen and learn? And the first step, of course, is to sit back and listen and learn. And then when you feel ready, when you feel like you're, you know,
have something to present,
but don't wait forever, because if you wait forever, somebody else like Donald Trump is going to grab that microphone and, you know, run with it.
Or don't be afraid to say something and then be wrong and have to go back and reevaluate your thought process. You know, it's just like, yeah.
Another thing I've struggled with, especially with this podcast and coming up with topics, is that I am a critical thinker. You know, my dad instilled that in me at a very early age, you know, to question everything. And sometimes being a critical thinker makes you a negative thinker, you know, because you're thinking of everything that could possibly go wrong. You're not thinking optimistically. You're not thinking like global warming's going to be fixed. You know, like you think like, well, what is it going to take to get global warming to be fixed? All these idiots to like open their minds.
Very pessimistic.
And like, you know, very pessimistic. And so that's where I have other people would say, you're the most optimistic person I know. But that's where I struggle with optimism and hope, you know, being almost delusional. You know, I'm there. Oh God, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
Whatever. Like we're having a conversation.
But there's those people where they just post inspirational quotes and, you know, they're just like, yeah, positivity. I'm so excited for today. Aren't you so grateful? And I'm like, I can't get on your level. Like I
take it down.
Take it down. I am grateful I'm so grateful for so many things, but there's just a level of authenticity and realness that I think you need to maintain in order to truly connect with other people.
Exactly. I was about to say, it's to the level that they're positive is unrelatable. So now I don't want to hear anything you have to say, because, you know, like that's not the way life is. And so, yeah, I just don't want to, I kind of just don't want to deal with those people, because I just feel like I can't meet you on a, like you're not being real with me right now. So there's nothing I can say that is going to bring you to that level.
Well, and talk about, you know, someone who was optimistic but also incredibly authentic was Martin Luther King. You know, his speeches they didn't sugarcoat anything. You know, they didn't paint a picture that wasn't real, but he also painted a picture for them to see and to look at and to work towards and to really fight for. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's the kind of hope that I would want to inspire.
I also think that, you know, like, we're not always going to have the hope that we need, right? And I think that's why it's important for us to be around people that will have that hope when we don't have it. You know, I think about just the journey that I've been on to get into school. Like, I did not, like, these last 6 months, the hope was like not there, you know? And so I had people around me that were just like, nah, G, you're going to be okay. Like, you're going to be okay. And so I think it's important for us to be in communities where there is hope, you know? And so we may not always have it. And I don't think that that's an issue. Yeah. But I do think that it's important that you're around people that have that for you in those times that you don't.
Oh, that brings up for me, back to our conversation with Jeff Masters, talking about, you know, competing for a seat at the table. You know, I think we really need to look at, it's easy to get jealous or competitive with people who are in your same field or striving for the same thing that you are. And if you can flip your mentality to, instead of looking at that person as competition, looking at them as inspiration and for hope as well, and really being inspired. And that's also where I was kind of going with, looking at other gay people who have been producing such amazing content has really inspired me to do more and do the same. And that was such an amazing trick for myself to make that switch. Because when I was younger and just graduated, and I've already mentioned this on this podcast, but to look at Tyler Oakley and be like, he already exists. So why do I need to be here? Because we look the same and we talk the same and we act the same. Why do there need to be two of us? And just kind of really letting that hold me back, that fear of not being original and not contributing anything. But instead, recently I've been much more about what you said, which is, finding that community of people who inspire you and
support you
and collaborating. And yeah. And, I've been on this, if you're following me this month, I've been on this kick of producing a video a day. And it's really been so inspirational in terms of people reaching out and being like, hey, I want to do something with you. And you have to put it out there in order for other people to see that that's what you want and for the universe to give it to you.
And you have to believe in yourself. And that's why I was like, you having the hope, right? There's something in you that makes you think that you can do this. And so because you think you can, you are
right.
And so eventually that is going to, bring what you want to you.
Right.
So.
And then create that platform to then speak on a broader or create change on a broader scale. Gosh, we're really going full circle with this. It's because and that's where I have to, work on the critical thinking pessimism thing because I think, well, what does individual change have to do with it? What does that have to do with affecting change on a greater basis? Because I'm looking at it objectively and the math doesn't make sense to me.
So, in response to that, I think that people are always watching us. You know what I'm saying? So if you
Big Brother,
yes, the government.
The government.
No, I'm saying just people around you. We can use Chance again. Yes, I can relate to him. We're from the same city. I've probably experienced similar experiences. I've probably had similar experiences to a certain extent. And so to see him doing what he wants to do, and then also gives me hope for myself to also do it, and not just because he's made it, right? But because I just feel like, you're an example. And so if we live, and I think this is just my general philosophy in life, if you take care of yourself, if you do what you need to do, if you live the way that you want to live, I don't have to convince you to do what I'm doing. If you like how I'm living, then you will want to figure it out. I'm not trying to sell you on anything,
Right.
So I think that by us taking care of self, or, the success that we have will make room for us, and so I think that that's what inspires the change, because whatever, you have children watching you, you have the people that you work with watching you and how you carry yourself, and that there's certain things that people are attracted to,
Right.
And so for you to be able to have a certain level of hope, seemingly consistent hope, or a good attitude, or positive energy for an extended period of time, people are going to be like, wow, what is that? How does he have that? What is his life like? And so I think that that's what attracts people. That's what changes people, is just being able to be around someone for an extended period of time, to then try to figure out I want that, how do I get that? And so I think that that's what makes the bigger change on a bigger scale.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's a good point. Are we ready for, or that's 5 minutes. You can talk, AJ.
Oh, I was just saying, you got 2 minutes?
2 minutes. Okay.
All right. So we got to get off this serious stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I actually was going to plunge right into the serious stuff, because I do think, I do think it's gonna get worse. I do think things are gonna
Yeah.
get worse before they get better.
I don't think we should be afraid of it.
Right. And what I will say, what makes me optimistic about it is that we are going to, in order to cure cancer, you got to do chemo, and chemo is rough.
Or you're gonna see, what it looks like to die of cancer,
Right.
before you can actually
Right.
start learning. Oh, how do I stop this at this point?
Right. Yeah, and just kind of seeing the trajectory that things are taking right now,
Mm-hmm.
and just knowing, we're in it. We're going to have to start speaking up and getting stronger and feeling, for me, not being afraid of the internet,
Mm-hmm.
not being afraid of the nasty things that people say online,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, because you're enough.
oh, I'm not enough. I'm extra.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, just everyone kind of getting to that. And I really do kind of feel like for me, with the HIV commission being like Trump doesn't care about HIV.
That's
And people are going to die from this administration. And that sounds like an exaggeration, or it sounds like a dramatization, but it's simply the truth of the matter. And I am really kind of for me personally, I am letting that fuel me, feeling that proximity to death, and feeling that proximity to just danger. And it's really kind of fueled this entire creative streak for me. I do want to make sure to always create out of love and not fear, but I also want, if I do have fear, I want it to motivate me. I want it to be productive.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I also think that the opposite of hope is just not an option for me. It's not realistically an option. Like, I will drive myself crazy.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
that's
and
it.
then
Like,
what?
then when you're hopeless, you're willing to do anything. You become reckless, right?
Right.
So I just don't think it's an option.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
It's not an option, you guys.
It's not
an
an
option. You heard it first. So if you're scared at home, suck it up. Suck it up. So we're gonna turn. On that note, we're going to turn over to obsessions. If you guys are just tuning in for the last episode, this is something that brings us pure joy from this week, or either in our lifetime or whenever. Does anyone want to start?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I've been thinking about this all week.
Yeah.
What's today? Monday.
Monday.
So all last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am in love with this new DJ Khaled compilation of like Rihanna,
Beyonce.
No.
You don't like Shining?
No.
Okay, sorry.
It's called Wild Thoughts.
Wild
It's
Thoughts.
Rihanna
Yes.
Who else is in that? I don't know.
You're obsessed
anyway,
with it, though.
Rihanna's in it.
Rihanna's
right?
in it. Rihanna.
Oh, they're using is it a Ricky Martin song? Is it a Ricky Martin background? No.
No idea.
No, who is it?
know.
Anyway,
That's the wrong person.
some amazing guitar famous song, whatever.
Okay.
Santana?
Yes, Santana.
Oh, then you were asking the right person.
Yeah. Yes, there you go, AJ. It's an amazing song, Wild Thoughts. I am so taken back by the fact that yes, that Rihanna can make any
track.
one syllable. I don't even know what she's saying. Like, I didn't know what she was saying until I read the lyrics. But she whoa, wow. Like, I love it. It's great. It's
She
catchy.
is infectious, isn't she?
I wish that she was the person that did Hooked on Phonics. I think a lot more people
What?
Would have learned to read.
Oh
they
my
would have
God,
learned to
where did that
read.
come
Like,
from? Oh my
so many
God.
poor people would be literate.
Riri, if you're listening, we've gotten an idea
Listen,
for
Well,
you.
so we have a
Literacy,
proposition for
health
you.
Yeah.
literacy. Me and Rihanna could do a combo
Oh my
and
God.
change the world.
Oh my God, that's
Amazing.
hysterical.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Amazing.
AJ, what is your obsession?
My obsession this week is let me move my mic. There we go. Is prosthetic makeup in movies.
Yeah.
So practical effects versus CGI. You can tell, like, especially like monster movies. I watch like a lot of indie horror movies, and the ones that use like CGI and computer effects just aren't as good as the ones that use practical effects. Like movies like The Thing, you know, like the old ones that just use practical effects. They're just like so much scarier than the ones where you're just like, oh, this is a computer
Yeah,
thing.
it's not
computer.
it's not realistic.
You
That's
can
my
tell as the audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've never thought about that distinction before.
I'm so impressed with your obsessions. Like I'm always like, I can never
nerdiest stuff.
predict what he's gonna say.
You're not impressed with my obsessions?
You know
the
what?
high heels weren't enough for you?
You know what? Comparisons will never get you anywhere. Ever. No, he's just.
That's true. All right, so my obsession this week is the smell of Joann's
Oh my god.
fabric store.
Oh my goodness.
It's like a mix of vanilla candles and
Vanilla candles.
and your grandma. Like it's just this like familiar scent. Like no, not grandma in a gross way, but grandma in like a familiar like I love you kind of way.
Mothball way.
Yeah, I mean a little bit, but I mean it's a nostalgic. It's a nostalgic smell. It's a very nostalgic smell. I also have some gifts for you guys.
Oh my
they're just
goodness.
behind these curtains here. If you want to pull them back, that one's for you, AJ.
Oh my goodness. You didn't know that he
and
put
the,
something
the
back
other,
here?
The other one is for Danny. I know you don't want to get on the camera, but if you could hand that to Danny,
Oh my gosh, Alex.
that would be fantastic.
What?
There you go. Grab that. So these are. I bought you guys.
Oh my
I bought you guys a few of your
gosh.
obsessions from this past season.
Oh my! I saw.
Yes.
I saw part of the zipper. I'm going to shit myself.
Yes. Well,
Alex,
open it.
What the heck?
Open it. Open it.
There's stuff in here.
So I got you an orange backpack
Oh my god!
because I know you love backpacks.
Oh my goodness!
And orange is your favorite color.
Oh my gosh!
Open.
How do I open?
Open the bag.
Oh my.
Open the
gosh,
front
Alex.
pocket. Open the front pocket first, actually.
This?
Or no. Okay, no. Keep doing that.
No?
Keep doing that. Keep doing that.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, Alex.
So I got you a personality test. Quantico
Oh.
season 1.
Ah! Alex!
I got you boba tea.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my God, Danielle, we did not test for this loud. We got you boba tea, and I got you a red robe.
Oh my goodness! Alexander Vanderhook. Oh my God, Tyler, I'm taking him with me.
And
Too
then
bad,
wait,
buddy.
and then open. Okay, then open the front pocket.
I think
the
it's
front
just
zipper
down
pocket.
here. Oh no.
No, the front zipper pocket.
I thought I could like just.
No,
go
not that
through.
one. One more up. See, look how many pockets
Gee,
there are, Danielle.
Oh my
Are you in heaven?
gosh, I
That one.
love you.
Yes, there we go.
Oh my God, what is this? What is this? What is this? Yes, because I am so famous. And this is my award.
Her award for being famous, y'all.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I want to thank God, right? That's how you have to always start off.
Always got to thank God.
I want to thank my mother for all she's done, and I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I know.
This is just-
At a loss
I
for
didn't
words.
prepare a speech,
No.
but
Okay, we don't have time. We don't have time for a speech.
Oh
AJ, you've got
my
a bunch of
gosh,
gifts too. You could go
Alex.
through them later because
Well,
they
thank you so
can't see them.
much, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh my gosh, Alex.
Anyway, so this is our final episode. If
Oh,
you've been watching,
God.
thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, if we're smart enough to have a conversation,
So are you.
we
Oh my
won't see
God.
you next week. So have a nice life. Just kidding. But
We'll figure
yeah,
something out.
We'll figure,
some-
something
Have
out.
hope.
Have
We're
hope.
gonna figure something out.
Have hope. We're gonna figure something out.
As soon as I put this red robe on.
Yes. Not in this heat.
I know it is freaking.
Bye.
hot.
Thank you guys.
Oh, oops, Alex. Oh my goodness.
Yay.